Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, soon in Global, there will be the release of Vineda, Dario, and Tyrrell. So let's do an overview of them. This video will mainly be a level 99 review of Vineda, but the other two I can talk about real quick to get them out of the way. But first, let's talk about Tyrrell. He will be the free unit, so you can play the quests, get his shards every day, I think. And then I recommend that everybody get all of his shards, so that if someday they want to level him, they'll have that opportunity. But Water Element, those are still pretty rare units in Global. Main Job Knight, it's good for breaks and then short range attacks. And then we got Viking, that's good for short range and medium range attacks. And then Lancer, which is good for, maybe it's his best ranged attack job. There was a time when I was using him, and that was in preparation for the male guild battle, because I was so short on male characters that I ended up going for this guy. And I did use him for a few guild battles, and he's a pretty good attacker for an MR. We can see even at the base form, with no equipment or anything, he has an attack of 300. That's pretty good. HP is pretty good too, over 2000. He's not going to be a top tier UR attacker, of course, but if you wanted like a water chainer, he can do great. And then of course if you're low on male units, he would also be good. Low priority overall, but I like him. I use him in the tower. He can be a good kind of a cleanup attacker. Trustmaster is pretty good, 264 HP. That will matter after we get the stat stacking update in Global. And then some accuracy and critical. I've used this quite a bit actually, mostly on attackers, of course. And it looks like everybody can use it. Okay, great. Okay, next let's look at Dario, and I am going to build him in Global. I'm not going to pull for him, but I'm going to start buying his shards immediately. And then he's going to be my, maybe my main tank, even more than Mont. Mont's the only other tank that I have at the moment, but Dario, the reason why he's great is because he can do both magic and physical. And then he's going to be the only tank that can really do that until Warrior of Light and Agrius come out. One thing about him, he is wind element, so he'll be weak against Mediana and Gilgamesh. So that might seem like a pretty useless magic tank, but there's lots of magic characters coming, so he'll be good for a good long while. And then let's look at his status. So he has a little bit of resistances everywhere, a little bit weaker to Pierce and Strike, but nothing too awful. And then strong against Earth, so he'll be good against Kiton now, of course, but also like Kirufe and stuff in the future. And resistance to Charm, that's pretty important. I think we saw the importance of that in the tower. Trustmaster for him is excellent. This is a sword, 112 magic, and then it gives you gained AP plus 30%. So you can put this on Miranda, get amazing results. You could even put it on somebody that doesn't use magic, but you just want the AP. So yeah, almost any player, I think, could find use for this. And then, main job is the Spellblade, sub-jobs Ninja, and then Paladin. And the nice thing about Dario is that he has both of the active provoke skills. He's got the Attract spell from the Spellblade, and then he's got the Attract Blade, there it is, from Knight. I'm not a fan of Attract Blade because it's so expensive, it's hard to get it out quickly or even consistently. But that's why I really like the Attract spell better. Much cheaper, quicker to get out, and then because he can do both magic and physical, I think he's just going to be using that the whole time, and then just be a great overall tank. But a little bit of a magic attack, like Wind Element, Spellblade attacks. He has some nice movement abilities from Ninja. A little bit of status effects from Spellblade, like Silence and Brave Down. And then the usual Paladin things, like Saint Wall, that is a self-barrier. Sentinel, and Magic Barrier, so yeah, he's got the abilities for both types of attack. And then hide, that's not very great synergy with his tanking stuff, but happy to have it, I guess. Oh, and then this. This is the ninja attack, which does not have an attack type. This is always handy to have because there will be like enemies in the tower, for example, or in PvP, where they will have very high attack resistances. This can just cut right through it. The last couple days I've been messing around with a Sasayaki Thancred resistance team, and I always stay away from the ninjas because they one-punch me with their ninja attacks. So yeah, pretty good. Nice ace up his sleeve. And then I did say this before, and I have read this online, but Rain without his Crimson Saber is not as good of a character as Dario. That's what people are making the direct comparison to. Again, Raid with his Crimson Blade, he becomes a very nice magic damage source. But as a physical tank, he is not very good at all, really only good for magic tanking. And so for just overall use, Daario is going to be better. And so with the end of the tower, if you did not get the Crimson Blade, then maybe you want to build Daario instead of Rain. And if you have no other magic tank, if you don't have Fravia, if you're not thinking of going for like Warrior of Light or whatever. Okay, so that was Tyrrell and Dario. Talked about them way too long. Next, let's talk about Vineda. And Vineda, she was one of the characters that you could look at on the website, you know, before the game was released. And I was like, oh, she looks really cool. But then the game started, and I was like, I think I can skip her. I think I just finished working on Lucia or Miranda or somebody. And I was feeling kind of tapped out. But she fell into my lap the first day, so I was like, oh, alright, fine, I'll build her. I used her a lot in the beginning, and then I didn't use her for a long time. And then I used her a ton again this weekend. So much so that I'm almost sick of her. But she is a dark slash attacker, so lots and lots of events where you can use her. But she doesn't quite fit my playstyle. If you know me, you know that I like kind of like slow tanky characters. I like my tank to advance to the front, and then my other characters to come up from behind, and we all just kind of move slowly towards the enemy there. The way that Vineda works is very independent. She'll just rush out in front, and then she'll just like dodge through all the guys' attacks, and then just backstab whomever the target that she's going for. If you like that playstyle, you're really going to like Vineda. She's a lot of fun, she's kind of high risk, high reward, and then if you do use her, you really want to build up her evade as much as you can, because she can't take hits. That was very apparent in the Final Fantasy raid that I was playing this weekend. And then all of the enemies in that stage, they also had high accuracy, so you had to really work on her evade in order to get her to survive pretty well. I had some trouble with that. But she is a dark element, and then she is going to be the answer for Engelbert and Warrior of Light. Until Super Stern comes out, she'll really be just the best option against them. But main job Assassin, that is a new job. That specializes in kind of like slayers and like positioning, like backstab and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And then sub-job Thief, this is always helpful. And then she has the Snipe Dagger, which I always make fun of, but which is actually a good attack. And then Double Gunner, this is great because one, it gives her some AoE attacks, which her other skills don't really have. Gives her some kind of medium range attacks, which again, her other jobs don't really have. And then it gives her another attack type. In JP, this has come in very handy recently, because in the arena, there's that map where the slash resistance is up on everybody. So normally that would just kind of like be a big disadvantage in using Vineda, but because she has access to these projectile attacks, she can still do a lot of damage to people, and that surprised me the other day when I wasn't ready for her. Another character that was surprising was Engelbert using Monk skills. I've kind of come around back on Engelbert. I might start using him again. She might seem limited because she acts independently, she doesn't have a lot of chaining or ranged attacks, but actually she's got a lot of good stuff in her skills and jobs, so I think people could find a lot of use for her. And next, let's look at her Trustmaster real quick. If you hated Ayaka before, you're going to hate her even more when she's wearing Vineda's heels. But accuracy 12, speed 5, that is fine. Agility 5, rather. But the big thing here is the active ability. You can use this. It will give you hide, and it will give you 3 turns of male killer. The reason why this is so annoying on Ayaka is because Ayaka can use it, lower her hate, and so it'll be even more difficult to take her down. You won't be even targeting her. So you can imagine how annoying that is going to be. The Male Slayer, that's also really good for, Engelbert and Warrior of Light. But for the Lamia Vision card in Global, they got rid of the Male Slayer, and they put in Aquan Slayer or Ice Slayer, I forget what it is. It'll be interesting to see if they keep the Male Slayer or take it away here. My guess is they took it away because it does stack with other multipliers when you use Drain Force on your soldiers. But they might keep it on this Trustmaster just because a UR Trustmaster is hard to get, so yeah, I don't know. But yeah, good Trustmaster, I use it a lot. Okay, finally, let's look at the skills. Alright, Main Job Assassin. Here is a ranged ability. This is like a thrown dagger, which has a poison effect. This was really good in the raid for taking down the archers that were around the boss of Final Fantasy XIV. But I really got a sense of the designers really being very careful with the the HP and defense limits of the enemies, making it so that if you did not build your Vineda enough, she wouldn't be able to one-punch them with this attack. And there were times when I was and I wasn't able to. And it really came down to the vision cards that all of the team members were using. So yeah, my Vineda is at job level 12. I really should have gotten her to 15 for the raid, and then maybe upgraded her dagger and stuff, but I couldn't be bothered. But yeah, there were times when I was not able to one-punch the archers with this attack. Okay, and then this is like a super mug. This will steal items from enemies and then do much more damage than your average mug. This can make her good for gil farming. And then this is the attack that I think most people will be using most often. But this is a defense down and then attack for big damage. So really good. It's similar to one of Orlando's attacks. And this can be a great attack to start a chain, because you'll be lowering the target's defense. And this is really strong. This is an area of effect attack that affects characters around her. She's going to be running towards the enemy anyway and just getting in the middle and evading everything. So if you can position her in between 2 or 3 guys, she can hit them all with this, do pretty good damage. And there are a few characters with attacks like this. Edude, the Lancer, it's like Earth Rage or Earth Rave or something, also really strong. So yeah, don't sleep on this attack. And then this one here, this is another short-range attack which will cast Doom on whomever it hits. This can also be good against tanks. If you don't want to bother with taking down their HP little by little, you can just cast Doom on them. This is better in places like the tower, where the fights are going to be very long anyway. But you can make this work in a PvP as well. Okay, and then Assassin Subjob. Here is a TP skill. But it requires a target. This will paralyze the target. And that's going to lead me to one of the big problems with Vineda, and that is AP. She's always going to be low in AP, because she doesn't have a lot of TP skills, especially if you double up on her assassin jobs. And so if you really want to put Vineda into high gear, you want to give her Jesus illusory bells. That's not the way that I like to play the game or recommend the game to people, just recommending the best thing, But Jesus bells are so good and make so many different characters so much better that I can recommend it. And it might be better for Vineda than her own Trustmaster. But that would definitely get around the AP point problem that she has. Okay, and then here's another break plus attack, but this one only works when hitting from behind. So this is cheaper to cast, so that is attractive, but it's a little bit harder to use than the other one, and the other one costs more, so it's a give and take. And then this is an AP drain, although it costs AP to cast, so I don't know if this is any good. Short range too. Okay, next let's look at the Thief skills. Here is Steel Vision. This was really good in the Final Fantasy XIV raid, because again, everybody had very high accuracy. So to use this and to help with your evade was very nice. And then also that boss was immune to steal time, and then also slow. So there's nothing you could really do to mess with the boss's CT gauge. But you could lower the accuracy. It's a TP skill you can use to get some AP points. Okay, and then here is a evasion self buff. Use this all the time. Here's regular steal. Don't really use this. Here's steal time. You can use that for raids. This should be good for the white marshmallow raid coming up. And then here's mug. This is why you're never going to use a steal. But you can combine this mug with the other assassin skill to get double the mugging in your guild farming, so that's nice. And then here's the snipe dagger. One of her few range attacks. It's pretty good. Alright, and then last is double gunner. This is just the average ranged attack. No like slayers or defense penetration or anything, but low cost, and again gives you the projectile type attack. Here is split shot. I love this one. It's an AoE attack and then short range, but you can hit multiple guys at once. And then it's always fun to like shoot around your teammates and hit the bad guys. I use this attack a lot. It's really good. And here's another self buff, raise defense and evade. So yeah, she's got the evade buffs all around. Here's an interesting TP skill. This will stun the targets and then acts at range and has a little bit of area of effect. So she does have some status effects. You might want to consider raising her faith. Oh, and then that brings me to her big weakness, which is Holy. Holy does magic damage, of course. It gets the advantage on dark element characters, and it's 100% hit. So her evade is not going to matter there. But yeah, if you are going to use Vineda, be aware of Ayaka, be aware of Salia, Yashutara. I don't know if anybody's using her in Arena anymore. And then the future Kirufe. They're all going to have Holy, so they'll have a counter on Vineda. Okay, here's the Horizon Shot, also very useful. Very expensive, however. And then a Double Shot. This is kind of similar to the first one that I showed. A little bit more expensive, but nice chaining skill. This is maybe her best chaining skill. But we haven't had a raid in JP yet where you need dark projectile type attacks yet. Okay, and then let's look at her Limit Break. Speaking of chaining, this is a 3-hit attack at range, and then it can poison. This was one of the best attacks that she could do for that Final Fantasy XIV raid, because you can build up the chain. 3 hits is pretty good, and then that's more than a Super Stern can do. But again, pretty expensive. With my sad Vineda with no illusory bells, I could never use this because I never saved up the AP. But the other Vinedas that did have the bells, they were able to use this and build up some nice chains, get some nice attacks. Okay, support abilities. Evade up, definitely want to use this. And then Tune Up, this is the same as Lucia. This will raise agility and then also defense piercing. So if like a tank has like 30 defense, this will negate some percentage of that defense, so she can do more damage on that. Makes her more of a tank killer. Otherwise, she has a couple of AP abilities. Those are nice for her. And then the Thief one, that gives her more move and agility. And then this one, which raises her projectile attack. So you can use that if you want to use her as a double gunner. Oh, and then her base move and jump is 4 and 2, so she's pretty mobile. Not quite ninja level, but pretty good. And then for reaction abilities, she has this one to give her more evade and raise her CT gauge. That's a new assassin reaction ability. And then this one, if she's hit, that will raise her agility. And then this one, this is from Double Gunner. If she's about to take an attack, she can attack beforehand, and then she'll take the attack. So maybe there's a small chance you can take down a guy before he actually hits you. And then Master Ability, I always say that these give you hints on how to play the character. Attack up 10%, evade up 10. So yeah, that's pretty clear. Okay, and then let's talk about equipment for her. The Mage Masher event will be coming, so we can create that for her. I have the critical version. And 125 attack, that's decent. The Mind Gouge might also be interesting, especially since there is a dodge type, which can get evade up to 20, I believe. And then, especially later with the stat stacking update, you can give her a hat, you can give her the Mind Gouge, and you can give her some sort of Trustmaster with even more evade, and they'll all contribute, so get this if you can. But as of this time in JP, there still hasn't been an event to farm it, so you're just going to have to buy it from the shop. Low attack on the dodge version, it only goes up to like 80 or 90, however. Okay, and then for equipment, you definitely want to give her a hat, so that you can get both the base stat and then the bonus stat. And otherwise, I don't think she really wants any more armor. Yeah, you really just want to focus on the evade. For accessories, I guess you could give her the Alexandrite ring if you wanted more aim. That might be the only one that I give her. And then as for Trustmaster is good for her, again, I think Jesus Bells are going to be the best. But otherwise, you could give her Tyrrell's Trustmaster, get her accuracy up. And then her own Trustmaster, it's also great. It'll give her the Mail Slayer, probably. And as always, won't talk about Espers or Vision cards, you can figure that out for yourself. Okay, so that is Vineda, and then her two counterparts, Dario and Tyro. If you're aiming to go for her, good luck with your pulls. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.